Major Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of the Lunar Defense Station, watching as another refugee ship limped into orbit. Her dark eyes reflected the flashing emergency beacons of the battered vessel. 6 months into humanity's war with the Vraxian Collective, and Earth's orbital defenses were stretched beyond capacity. Another civilian transport from the Ganymede colonies, Lieutenant Park said, handing her a holopad. 312 survivors. Vraxian warships hit the settlement without warning. Standard procedure, they left just enough alive to spread terror. Elena took the pad, scanning the report with practiced efficiency. She'd seen too many like it in the 184 days since first contact. Find room for them in Sector 7. Medical teams on standby. There is no room in Sector 7, Major. She turned to face her XO. Then make room, Lieutenant. Park nodded, his expression grim but determined. That was the human way, now making the impossible work because there was no alternative. Elena returned her gaze to the stars, searching for any sign of the enemy. The Vraxians had emerged from deep space with technology centuries beyond humanity's reach. Their ships could fold spacetime, their weapons could destabilize matter at the subatomic level, and their exoskeletons made a single Vraxian warrior equal to 10 armored human soldiers. Her comm unit pinged. Major Reyes, General Okafor requests your presence in command immediately. 15 minutes later, Elena stood before a holographic display of the solar system, surrounded by the remnants of Earth's military leadership. The room hummed with tension and the low murmur of voices. General Okafor, a tall woman with close-cropped gray hair and eyes that had seen too much, nodded at Elena's arrival. Major Reyes, she said, what's your assessment of the civilian evacuation protocols? We're at 63% efficiency, General. Better than projected, but not enough if the Vraxians launch another coordinated attack on multiple settlements. Then it's fortunate we have other plans. Okafor manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on a sleek vessel unlike any in Earth's fleet. This is the Defiance. Prototype stealth scout with our latest adaptive technology. Elena studied the ship. It was beautiful, but seemed insignificant compared to the massive Vraxian dreadnoughts that had decimated Earth's defense fleets. With respect, General, what can one scout ship accomplish? A man stepped forward, Dr. Elias Chen, head of xenobiology. His reputation had preceded him, brilliant but eccentric. He'd been the first to successfully decode the Vraxian language. Not the ship, Major. Its mission. Chen's eyes gleamed with intensity. We've discovered something extraordinary about the Vraxians. Their neural network has a flaw. The hologram shifted to display a complex lattice of light, a representation of the Vraxian hive mind that coordinated their forces across vast distances. This is how they communicate faster than light, Chen explained. But we've detected fluctuations in the network during Earth's rotation cycle. For 9.4 minutes each day, there's a vulnerability, a blind spot we can exploit. You want to insert something into their network, Elena said, understanding dawning. Not something. Someone. Okafor's gaze was steady. We need a human mind to navigate their systems, identify the central node, and deliver a targeted virus that will disrupt their entire command structure. Elena frowned. That's suicide. The human brain can't interface directly with alien tech without. We've developed a neural interface, Chen interrupted. It will protect the pilot's mind while allowing enough connection to navigate the Vraxian systems. Mostly protect, muttered Dr. Amara Shaw, the neural specialist whose work had saved thousands of soldiers exposed to Vraxian psychic weapons. The mission requires someone with exceptional neural plasticity and resilience, Okafor continued. Someone who's already demonstrated resistance to Vraxian psychic attacks. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Elena. She understood then why she'd been summoned. 3 months ago, during the Battle of Europa, Elena's squad had been caught in a Vraxian mind snare, a weapon that turned human consciousness against itself. 19 soldiers died, their minds shattered. Elena had not only survived but managed to lead the remaining troops to safety. The tests we ran afterward showed unique patterns in your neural structure, Dr. Shaw said quietly. You're the only candidate with a statistically significant chance of maintaining cognitive integrity within their network. Elena looked back at the hologram of the Defiance, then at the refugee ship now docking with the station. People who had lost everything except their lives, and even those hung by a thread. "When do we leave?" she asked. Okafor's expression softened momentarily. "Tomorrow at 0500. The Defiance can only carry a 4-person crew. Choose them carefully." As Elena left command, her mind automatically began compiling a mental list of potential crew members. She would need people who thought differently, who could adapt when plans fell apart. People like herself, survivors who refused to surrender even when logic dictated they should. Her quarters were sparse, military efficient. Elena stood before the small mirror, studying her reflection. At 34, her face showed the strain of constant battle, new lines around her eyes, a permanent furrow between her brows. Her black hair was regulation short, streaked with premature gray. On her desk sat a worn photograph, Elena with her brother Miguel and his family on their farm in New Mexico. The last communication from Earth had confirmed they were still alive, sheltering in underground bunkers as Vraxian ships periodically darkened the skies above. For them, she would do this. For all of them, Elena activated her comm. "Lieutenant Park, meet me in Bay 12 in 20 minutes. And find Specialist Zhang and Tech Officer Rodriguez. We have a mission." "This plan is insane," Tech Officer Sofia Rodriguez said, her fingers dancing across the console as the Defiance's engines hummed to life. "Brilliantly insane, but still insane." Beside her, Lieutenant Dae-Young Park monitored the stealth systems. "That's why it might work. The Vraxians analyze everything through probability matrices. They'll never anticipate something this reckless." In the pilot's chair, Specialist Wei Zhang guided the ship away from the lunar defense station with delicate precision. His augmented reflexes, originally designed for mining dangerous asteroid belts, made him the best pilot remaining in Earth's forces. "Major," Zhang said without turning, "stealth systems optimal. We'll reach the designated coordinates in 43 minutes. Elena nodded, settling into the neural interface chair at the center of the bridge. Dr. Shaw had installed the equipment personally, a complex web of sensors and processors that would connect Elena's consciousness to the alien network. "Remember," Elena addressed her crew, "if I'm not back in my body within 10 minutes of insertion, you activate the failsafe and get this ship back to Luna. The data we gather will be valuable even if I don't succeed." "We're not leaving you, Major," Rodriguez said firmly. "That's an order, officer." Elena's tone left no room for argument. "Humanity needs whatever advantage we can give them." The crew fell silent as Zhang navigated through the debris field that had once been Earth's defensive satellite network. Occasionally, the twisted wreckage of a Vraxian vessel drifted past, evidence that humanity hadn't gone down without a fight. Elena used the quiet to review the mission parameters once more. The Defiance would position itself within a specific radiation shadow where Vraxian sensors were weakest. At precisely the right moment, Elena's consciousness would be transmitted into their network through a captured communication node. Once inside, she would navigate to the central command node and deploy the virus Chen's team had developed, a chaotic sequence designed to introduce unpredictable variables into the Vraxian strategic calculations, simple in theory, nearly impossible in execution. "Approaching target coordinates," Zhang announced. Entering stealth mode. The ship's hum deepened as its exterior absorbed all electromagnetic energy, rendering it virtually invisible to sensors. The lights dimmed to conserve power. "Vraxian patrol detected," Park warned. 3 light minutes distant, heading away from our position. "Hold course," Elena ordered, strapping herself into the interface chair. Rodriguez approached with the neural connectors, a crown of delicate filaments that would link Elena's brain to the ship's systems. "This will feel strange," Rodriguez said, carefully positioning the device. Elena managed a tight smile. "Stranger than fighting telepathic space octopi." The moment of levity broke some of the tension. Park actually chuckled. "Communication node acquired," he reported. "The window opens in 5 minutes." Elena closed her eyes, focusing on her breathing as Rodriguez activated the neural interface. Immediately, her consciousness expanded, connecting with the ship's systems. She could feel the Defiance as an extension of herself, its sensors becoming new senses, its computers supplementing her thoughts. "Vital signs stable," Rodriguez murmured. "Neural patterns holding within acceptable parameters." "Window opening in 10 seconds, Park announced. 9-8 Elena directed her awareness toward the captured communication node, feeling for the alien frequencies that would grant her access. 3-2-1. A sensation like falling into an electrical storm engulfed Elena's consciousness. Colors that had no names in human language flooded her perception. Concepts rather than images surrounded her, a sea of information that threatened to drown her human mind. Focus. Elena concentrated on the virus she carried, a conceptual package encoded into her consciousness. In the abstract space of the Vraxian network, she visualized herself as a current flowing through vast circuits of light. She sensed presences moving around her, alien minds communicating in patterns too complex for her to fully comprehend. Elena made herself small, inconspicuous, just another data packet in the endless stream. The Vraxian network was architecture unlike anything human minds had conceived, organic and geometric simultaneously, fractal patterns that folded inward forever while expanding outward into infinity. Elena followed the stronger currents, intuitively understanding they would lead to central nodes. Time behaved differently here. What felt like hours might be seconds in the physical world. Elena pushed forward, navigating by the subtle markers Chen's team had identified in their research. Suddenly, she sensed attention focusing in her direction, Vraxian security protocols recognizing an anomalous pattern. Elena changed course, diving deeper into sub-channels, racing against detection. The central node appeared before her, a nexus of connections pulsing with command information that coordinated Vraxian forces throughout the solar system. Elena moved toward it, carrying her viral payload. Resistance intensified. Vraxian security measures manifested as conceptual barriers, logical paradoxes designed to trap and isolate foreign elements. Elena's human mind, illogical, intuitive, emotional, slipped through gaps the Vraxians couldn't conceive existed. She reached the node, extending her consciousness to connect with it. The virus began to transfer, corrupting the perfect Vraxian logic with human unpredictability. The system convulsed around her as defenses activated. Elena felt her own mind beginning to fragment under the strain. Her memories scattered: childhood on the farm in New Mexico, academy training, the horror of first contact, faces of fallen comrades, all bleeding into the alien network. Time to go. She disengaged, following her connection back to her physical body. The Vraxian system reacted violently, sending waves of countermeasures after her. Elena's consciousness raced through the network, pursued by alien security protocols that threatened to erase her identity. Pain bloomed as she neared her exit point, the captured communication node. The Vraxians were closing the breach, sealing the vulnerability. Elena pushed harder, forcing her consciousness through the narrowing aperture. On the Defiance, alarms blared as Elena's body convulsed. Her neural patterns are destabilizing. Rodriguez shouted. We're losing her. Maintain the connection. Park ordered. 3 more seconds. Elena's consciousness slammed back into her physical body with the force of a planetary impact. She gasped, eyes flying open as the neural interface disengaged. Did it work? She rasped, her throat dry. Park was staring at his console in disbelief. Major, the Vraxian patrol just changed course. They're attacking each other. Elena struggled to sit up, her limbs trembling with exhaustion. The virus is working. Their command structure is compromised. We need to get this information back to command, Rodriguez said, already plotting a return course. Wait. Elena pointed to a sequence appearing on Rodriguez's screen. What's that? Rodriguez frowned, studying the data. It looks like coordinates. They're coming through on all Vraxian frequencies. I saw something in their network, Elena said, memories flooding back. Their command hierarchy, it's not what we thought. There's something beyond the military structure, something directing everything. A homeworld? Park suggested. No. Elena shook her head. Something here, in our solar system. Something they're protecting. Zhang turned from the pilot's console. The coordinates point to the Kuiper Belt. Specifically, to a region near Eris. Elena felt certainty solidifying within her. That's where we need to go. If we want to end this war, that's our target. Major, Park said carefully, our orders are to return with the virus confirmation. And we will. Elena met each of their gazes in turn. After we investigate. If I'm right, we may have found the key to defeating the Vraxians entirely. A moment of silence fell over the bridge as her crew considered the implications. "Course to Eris," Zhang said finally, turning back to his console. "Estimated arrival in 26 hours at maximum stealth speed." As the Defiance changed direction, heading toward the outer reaches of the solar system, Elena closed her eyes. Fragments of the Vraxian network lingered in her mind, alien thoughts and patterns that had embedded themselves in her consciousness. Among them, one concept repeated: Progenitor. The Defiance drifted silently at the edge of the Kuiper belt, its systems powered down to minimum levels. Through the viewport, Eris was barely visible, a distant dwarf planet orbiting in the cold darkness beyond Neptune. "Scanning complete," Rodriguez reported. "There's definitely something out there. Massive energy signature, unlike any Vraxian technology we've encountered." Elena studied the holographic display showing the anomaly, a structure orbiting Eris, partially embedded in an icy moonlet. The structure defied conventional geometry, its surfaces shifting and changing even as they watched. "It's not Vraxian," she said with certainty, the alien memories in her mind resonating with recognition. "It's older. Much older." "What is it?" Park asked. "The Vraxians call it the Progenitor." Elena struggled to translate the alien concepts into human language. "It's a seed. Or maybe a library. The source of their technological evolution." John frowned. "They found alien technology and reverse-engineered it." "More than that." Elena pointed to patterns in the energy readings. "The Progenitor isn't just technology. It's alive, in some sense. It teaches." The Vraxians discovered it centuries ago, and it accelerated their development, shaped their entire civilization. "That explains their technological advantage," Rodriguez said. "And why they invaded our system. They're not interested in Earth, they came for this." "But why fight us at all?" Park questioned. "We didn't know about this thing." Elena's expression darkened. "Because of what I saw in their network. The Progenitor is dying. It's been dormant for millennia, and the Vraxians have been trying to revive it. They need resources, specific elements found primarily on Earth and Mars. So they're strip mining our planets to save their precious alien tech," Zhang said bitterly. "Humanity was just in the way." Rodriguez's voice was hollow. Elena stood, decision made. "We need to get closer. The virus has created chaos in their command structure, but it won't last forever. This may be our only chance." "To do what exactly?" Park asked. "To understand the Progenitor. If it's the source of Vraxian technology, it could be the key to defeating them or even communicating with them." The bridge fell silent as her crew absorbed the implications. "We'll need to boost power to sensors," Rodriguez said finally. "But that means dropping some of our stealth protocols." "Do it," Elena ordered. "Minimal power, just enough to get detailed readings." As Rodriguez reconfigured the ship's systems, Elena felt a strange sensation, an echo from her time in the Vraxian network. The alien memories embedded in her mind seemed to resonate as they approached the Progenitor, like fragments of music responding to a distant orchestra. "Major," Zhang called out, his voice tense. "Vraxian patrol detected. 2 ships, coming around Eris. Have they spotted us?" Elena demanded. "I don't think so. Their course seems pre-programmed, standard patrol pattern. Hold position. Power down everything except life support and passive sensors." The Defiance went dark, drifting silently as the massive Vraxian vessels passed within kilometers of their position. Through the viewport, Elena caught glimpses of the alien ship's organic curves blended with crystalline structures, beautiful and terrifying. "They're heading toward the Progenitor," Park whispered. Elena watched as the Vraxian ships approached the ancient structure. Energy patterns shifted across its surface, responding to their presence. "It recognizes them," she murmured. Suddenly, Rodriguez gasped. "Major, I'm detecting a transmission directed at us." "From the Vraxians?" Park asked, alarmed. "No." Rodriguez looked up, eyes wide. "From the Progenitor." The ship's systems activated without command, displays flickering with symbols that shifted too quickly to comprehend. Elena felt the neural interface chair behind her humming to life. "It wants to communicate," she realized. With me. Park moved to block her path to the chair. Major, this is exactly how horror movies end. We came for answers, Elena reminded him. This might be our only chance. After a moment's hesitation, Park stepped aside. 10 minutes. Then we pull you out, regardless. Elena nodded, settling into the interface chair. Rodriguez reluctantly attached the neural connectors, her hands steady despite her obvious concern. Be careful in there, she said softly. As the interface activated, Elena's consciousness expanded once more but differently than before. Instead of the chaotic storm of the Vraxian network, she encountered a vast, ordered architecture of thought. Ancient beyond comprehension, human. The concept formed in her mind, not as a word but as an understanding of her nature, her species, her potential. Yes, Elena responded, projecting her thoughts outward. You carry fragments. Vraxian patterns. Yet you remain distinct. That I am Elena Reyes. Human, why have you come? Elena hesitated, uncertain how to communicate with this ancient intelligence. She chose honesty. To understand. To save my people. A flood of information cascaded through Elena's consciousness, the history of the progenitor, fragments she could barely comprehend. It was a seed, as she had guessed, but not merely of technology. It was a repository of knowledge left by a species long extinct, designed to guide younger civilizations toward a specific evolutionary path. The Vraxians had found it millennia ago and had been shaped by its knowledge, their biology, their society, their technology, all influenced by its design. But they had misunderstood its purpose. The Vraxians believe you are dying, Elena communicated, not dying. Changing. The cycle completes. Elena struggled to understand the alien concepts. The progenitor wasn't a static repository. It evolved, adapted to each species it encountered. It had guided dozens of civilizations over millions of years, helping them advance to a point where they could join some greater community of intelligence, but the Vraxians had become dependent, unable to evolve beyond the progenitor's teachings. When they detected its changing patterns, they interpreted it as deterioration and sought to prevent that change at any cost, including the devastation of Earth. My people are dying because of this misunderstanding, Elena projected, images of destroyed colonies and refugee ships filling her thoughts. The progenitor absorbed these images, analyzing them with ancient intelligence. The Vraxians fear. They cannot comprehend existence without guidance. But you humans, you create your own path. A new understanding formed in Elena's mind. The progenitor had been waiting for a species like humanity, adaptable, innovative, capable of intuitive leaps beyond logical progression. The Vraxians ordered, hierarchical minds could not evolve beyond the progenitor's teaching, but humans might. You can stop them, Elena pleaded. End this war. I cannot intervene directly. My purpose is to guide, not to control. Frustration surged through Elena's consciousness. Then guide me. Show me how to save my people. The ancient intelligence seemed to consider this request. Then, deliberately, it opened its knowledge to her, not as the Vraxians had received it, but in a form her human mind could comprehend. Elena saw patterns of energy, methods of communication, weaknesses in Vraxian technology that human science could exploit. But more importantly, she understood the fundamental philosophy that drove the Vraxian Collective, their desperate need for certainty in an uncertain universe. Return to your people, the progenitor communicated. Show them another way. As Elena's consciousness began to withdraw, she felt the progenitor's attention shift, focusing on the Vraxian ships now docked with its structure. What will happen to you? She asked. Evolution. Transformation. The cycle continues. Elena returned to her body with a gasp, the neural interface disengaging more gently than before. Her crew surrounded her, faces tight with concern. 7 minutes, Park reported. What happened? Elena struggled to organize her thoughts, the vast knowledge from the progenitor settling into her human mind like sediment after a flood. We've been looking at this all wrong, she said finally. The Vraxians aren't invading, they're desperately trying to prevent change. She explained what she had learned: the progenitor's true purpose, the Vraxians' dependence, and the potential for humanity to bridge the gap. So what now? Zhang asked. We just explained this cultural misunderstanding to the aliens who've been slaughtering us for months. No. Elena's expression hardened. First, we demonstrate that we understand their technology better than they do. She turned to Rodriguez. The Progenitor showed me how to modify our communications to speak directly to the Vraxian ships. Can you implement that? Rodriguez studied the specifications Elena transferred to her console. Yes, but Major, this would essentially broadcast our position to every Vraxian in the system. That's exactly what we want. Elena's eyes gleamed with newfound purpose. We're going to challenge them directly. With one scout ship? Park asked incredulously. With knowledge, Elena corrected. The Progenitor showed me weaknesses in Vraxian technology, flaws they don't even recognize because of how they were taught. She moved to Zhang's console, entering coordinates. Take us here directly between the Progenitor and the Vraxian patrol. No stealth, full power. Her crew exchanged glances, but moved to comply. The Defiance surged forward, systems humming back to full capacity as it positioned itself deliberately in view of the Vraxian vessels. Transmission ready, Rodriguez reported. Send a greeting on all Vraxian frequencies, Elena ordered. Then prepare to broadcast the full sensor logs of the Progenitor to Earth. They're responding, Park warned. Both ships are powering weapons. Elena stood at the center of the bridge, calm despite the massive alien warships turning their attention toward the tiny human vessel. Open a direct channel to their command nodes, she said. I need to speak to whoever's in charge. The view screen flickered, resolving into an image that made Rodriguez gasp. The Vraxian commander resembled a cephalopod evolved for space, multiple limbs ending in delicate manipulators, skin that shifted colors as it communicated, eyes arranged in a ring around a central mass. Elena addressed it directly, incorporating elements of Vraxian communication the Progenitor had taught her. Your understanding is incomplete. The Progenitor is not dying, it's evolving. Your efforts to prevent this are destroying both our species. The Vraxian skin flashed patterns of disbelief and hostility. Its response came through the ship's translators, human deception. You seek to claim the Progenitor for yourselves. No, Elena replied. We seek to understand it as it was meant to be understood. She nodded to Rodriguez, who transmitted a packet of data directly to the Vraxian ships. The information the Progenitor had shared, translated into their mathematical language. The Vraxian commander's colors shifted rapidly: shock, confusion, denial. This knowledge was hidden from us, it communicated finally. Not hidden, Elena corrected. You weren't ready to receive it. The Progenitor adapts its teachings to each species. You've been trying to preserve what should transform. The Vraxian vessels maintained their aggressive posture, weapons still trained on the Defiance. Elena could sense the commander's internal struggle, centuries of certainty colliding with new understanding. The Progenitor is entering its final phase with your civilization, Elena continued. It's offering you a choice: evolve beyond its guidance or stagnate. Without the Progenitor, we are nothing, the commander responded, colors darkening with what Elena recognized as fear. No, she said firmly. You are something new, something that can grow beyond your programming. Just as humanity must grow beyond its limitations. Rodriguez whispered urgently, Major, 3 more Vraxian ships detected approaching fast. Elena didn't break eye contact with the alien commander. You've reached a point where you must choose your own path. The Progenitor has guided you as far as it can. The commander's colors shifted again. What the Progenitor's knowledge told Elena was the Vraxian equivalent of deep contemplation. How do you adapt without certainty? It asked finally. Elena thought of Earth, humanity pushed to the brink of extinction, yet still fighting, still inventing, still finding reasons to hope. We embrace uncertainty, she answered. We make mistakes. We learn. We change. That's evolution. Behind her, Park reported tensely, the Vraxian reinforcements are decelerating. They're waiting. The commander's colors stabilized into a pattern Elena couldn't interpret. You will share this knowledge with all humans? Yes. And we propose to share it with all Vraxians as well. Not as a weapon, but as a truth. A long silence followed. Elena could feel the weight of history in this moment, 2 species poised between war and understanding. We will consider, the commander said finally. Its skin rippled with new patterns, complex, uncertain, evolving. A delegation will be sent to your lunar station. We will speak of coexistence. The transmission ended. The Vraxian ships powered down their weapons, moving into a neutral formation. Did that just happen? Zhang asked incredulously. Did we just talk our way out of extinction? Not yet, Elena cautioned. This is just one commander, not the entire collective. But it's a start. The reinforcements are retreating, Park confirmed. And I'm detecting communications between all Vraxian ships' massive data transfers. They're sharing what we sent them, Rodriguez realized. Debating it. Elena nodded, watching as the alien vessels maintained their distance, neither attacking nor withdrawing completely. Set course for Luna, she ordered. Maximum speed. We need to prepare Earth for negotiations. As the Defiance turned homeward, Elena felt the echo of the Progenitor's ancient wisdom in her mind. Humanity had been fighting for survival, but now they would be fighting for understanding a different kind of battle. But perhaps the more important 1.1 month later, Elena stood in the newly constructed diplomatic chamber aboard the lunar defense station. The circular room featured architecture designed to accommodate both human and Vraxian physiologies, a physical manifestation of the tentative bridge being built between two vastly different species. General Okafor approached, her uniform adorned with the new insignia of the United Earth Government. The Vraxian delegation is docking now. Are you ready? Elena nodded, adjusting the neural interface embedded at her temple, a permanent modification that allowed her to communicate directly with the Vraxians. Dr. Shaw had developed it based on the Progenitor's knowledge, minus the risks of the original version. As ready as anyone can be to negotiate with a species that was trying to exterminate us 6 weeks ago. Okafor's expression remained serious. The ceasefire is holding, but public opinion is divided. Many people don't trust this sudden change. It's not sudden for the Vraxians, Elena explained. What we perceive as weeks, they experience as generations of thought. Their neural structure allows for rapid adaptation once new information is accepted. Let's hope that adaptation includes peaceful coexistence. The chamber doors opened to admit Dr. Chen and a team of xenobiologists. Chen had aged visibly in the past month, the stress of developing communication protocols taking its toll. Major Reyes, he greeted her. The translation matrices are online. We've incorporated the latest Vraxian conceptual frameworks. Elena thanked him, then turned as the far doors opened to admit the Vraxian delegation. 3 of the cephalopod-like beings glided into the room on anti-gravity platforms, their skin rippling with colors that the human translation matrices rendered as formal greeting patterns. The lead Vraxian was the commander Elena had encountered near Eris, now designated as Ambassador VX-17. Its colors shifted in recognition when it saw Elena. Major Reyes, it communicated, the words appearing as text in Elena's neural interface while colors and patterns conveyed deeper meanings. Your presence honors this exchange. Ambassador, Elena responded, using both vocal speech and the neural patterns she had learned. Welcome to Luna. The formal greetings completed, the delegation moved to the central table. The negotiations that followed were unlike any in human history, discussions of territory, resources, and technology interwoven with philosophical debates about the nature of evolution and interdependence. Elena served as both translator and mediator, her unique connection to both the Progenitor's knowledge and human experience making her the only person truly capable of bridging the gap between species. The Progenitor has begun its final transformation, Ambassador VX-17 communicated during a discussion of the Kuiper Belt territories. Soon it will depart our reach. To seed another region of space. Elena asked, understanding the ancient cycle better now. Yes. Its purpose continues elsewhere. We must continue ours here. General Okafor leaned forward. And what exactly is that purpose, Ambassador? Your forces still occupy Mars and the outer colonies. The Vraxians' colors shifted to patterns indicating acknowledgement and transition. We have begun withdrawal from human settlements. The resources we sought can be obtained from uninhabited regions, now that we understand the Progenitor's true design. And the technology you've developed? Dr. Chen asked. The weapons that devastated our fleets. Technology exchange must be gradual, the ambassador responded. But we propose beginning with medical and agricultural advancements. These benefit all without creating new threats. The negotiations continued for hours, making progress that would have seemed impossible months earlier. When they concluded for the day, Elena escorted the Vraxian delegation to their quarters. Ambassador VX-17 lingered, its colors shifting to a more personal communication pattern. "You carry the Progenitor's knowledge differently than we do," it observed. "You question. You adapt it." Elena nodded. "That's the human way. We take new information and make it our own. This is why the Progenitor responded to you." The ambassador's colors indicated a concept akin to revelation. "We preserved. You transform." "Both approaches have value," Elena said diplomatically. The Vraxians' manipulators made a gesture Elena had come to recognize as agreement. "Together, perhaps, we create something neither could alone." As the ambassador departed, Elena felt a weight lifting that she had carried since first contact. The war wasn't over. Trust would take years to build, and both species had suffered losses that couldn't be undone. But a path forward existed where none had seemed possible before. Lieutenant Park found her later in the observation deck, watching Earth rotate below blue oceans and swirling clouds, scars of conflict visible but healing. "The first refugee ships are returning to Mars tomorrow," he reported. "With Vraxian technology helping rebuild the habitats." Elena smiled, genuine if tired. 6 months ago we were fighting for survival. Now we're negotiating cultural exchange programs. All because you broke into their network and talked to an ancient alien AI. Park shook his head in wonder. "Sometimes the craziest plans actually work." "Not crazy," Elena corrected. "Human. We adapt. We make connections no one else sees." She touched the neural interface at her temple, feeling the echo of knowledge still settling into patterns her mind could use. The Vraxians evolved toward perfect order, logical, hierarchical, precise. We evolved toward chaos, creative, emotional, unpredictable. Both paths have strengths and weaknesses. "And now?" Park asked. Elena looked out at the stars, the same stars that had brought both threat and opportunity to humanity. "Now we learn from each other." The Progenitor's final gift wasn't technology or resources. It was introducing two species that needed to meet. 3 days later, Elena stood with her brother Miguel on the family farm in New Mexico, watching the sunset paint the desert in gold and crimson. Above them, visible even in daylight,